All right, I'll start off by, and this is not even how the syllabus is supposed to look anymore. They've changed formats on us like 2 or 3 times in the last couple of years. So I'll get all this corrected. The main part is still good. Okay, I'll tell you what's good and what's not. So the last time I taught this was fall 2017, so I'll just change that to 18, and everything will be good. But this is Cal 3, Math 227, Cal 3, 4-hour course. Even the times are right. Monday, Wednesday, 12:15 to 1:55 here in this room, A255 in the A building, Bessemer campus. My name is Charles Fowler, if you didn't know that already. My email is cfowler@boston.state, and this will all be in a different format. The same information will be here, it'll be in a different format. cfowler@bostonstate.edu, and here's where I'll try to explain some of this. I think I already said, I'm losing my voice now. Last week I was sick. Okay, I mean I was laid out. I have a mild form of leukemia, and I've been receiving treatments for years on it, and everything's been fine. The newest treatment, though, has really done a number on the bad cells, the B cells, the lymphocytes that was the nature of the disease. They are way low now. So I'm hoping I'm almost through with the treatments. I'm hoping they've knocked it out completely. Don't know that for sure yet. My last treatment was August the 3rd. And every time I go in for a treatment, before they do the treatment, they do blood work, but usually they go and start to think, well, they didn't. I wonder why in the world they didn't. Well, they were really worried because in addition for knocking down the bad cells, it also has suppressed my red cell count, so I'm a little bit anemic. Hemoglobin, hematocrits are low, platelets are low, not as low as the white cells, but they're low. But the worst news was my what they call neutrophils, which are white cells that fend off diseases. To be neutropenic, meaning you've got too few neutrophils, anything less than 1,500 cells per milliliter or whatever they count by is counted as neutropenic. Before my treatment on the 3rd of August, it was at 110, and it was supposed to be something greater than 1,500. Okay, so that's why they were late giving me the treatment. They said we needed permission from a doctor to go and give you the treatment. So yeah, that sounded too low. He said that's what we thought, but they got in touch with some doctor somewhere. They couldn't get in touch with mine. They said no, go on and treat him. So I got another treatment done on the 3rd, and the treatments aren't bad. I mean, just thing, but the next week my nose started running, and I felt like I was getting a cold. Earlier in the spring, they had said my counts were low, and they said, look, if you start getting any symptoms of anything, take this antibiotic. So they prescribed me an antibiotic. I hadn't had a cold in a long time. I still didn't all summer, but then that week I started felt like I was getting a cold. So I started to buy antibiotics. Well, they called me in for the Tuesday after the treatment because my counts were so low, and they wanted to give me a booster for my neutrophils, and so they gave me a shot and gave me a prescription for 4 more shots, and I was supposed to get those in the next week. They never came. Okay, the name of the drug company that was doing it was called Express Scripts. There's nothing express about them because it was last Friday they finally called and said, hey, we got it ready, where do you want us to send it? This was like 2 weeks later. I thought, yeah. I said, I've already taken care of that, and you should change the name of your company. They didn't like me saying that. But anyway, so that next week was fine. That was the week we had off. The antibiotics did fine, and maybe that booster shot, I don't know. But anyway, came back the following week, and I started getting a worse cold, a different kind of cold, and my throat was hurting, my head was hurting, everything was aching, and so they prescribed me a new stronger antibiotic, which I'm on now, and also gave me another booster. And then they said, look, we've got enough at the clinic. They're going to fill the prescription that they had, and cancel the other one. So anyway, so I'm through with the shots now. I'm still taking the antibiotics, but I'm not 100%. So, I mean, last week I couldn't stay up more than a few hours before I was flat again. And this sounds terrible. I was afraid it was the leukemia and it may have contributed to it. I thought that's why I felt so bad, because all my counts were so low. But it was the nature of the cold. I didn't know this. But my wife caught the cold on Thursday of last week, and she was just as wiped out as I was, and she doesn't have any of the other. So thank goodness that was all the cold and not the other stuff. So I think I'm on the mend now. So anyway, why was I saying all that? I don't know. Oh, no, I'm still on that. But anyway, I guess I was going to tell about email. I'm really behind in email, and they have been dumping emails on us for the last 2 or 3 weeks, because they're doing everything differently this fall. Times are different, they changed the whole developmental math thing. Everything's different. That's why I've been out in the hall running around. But it's also a bunch of low of energy. And my throat hurts, and all this is because of all that. But anyway, I'm way behind the emails. Here's my phone numbers. This is the one here on this campus. I'm on this campus Monday through Thursday. Not completely, but most of the time. When I'm accessible to a phone, I'm this one, 929-3449, Monday through Thursday. On Fridays, I'm on at 929-6409. Now, here's the thing about the phone. Yes, the phones have voicemail, but I'm way behind on email. I'm hopelessly behind on voicemails. Because like I said, I was out all last week. I was out the week before when we had the week off. And there's just so many there. I'm not sure if I'll ever catch up. So please, if you call during my office hours. Now, these are not correct, but I'll tell you what they are. Call during office hours. If I'm not in, don't leave a message, because I'm probably not going to hear it for the next 7 or 8 weeks. So, I don't know, I'm making stuff up. So please just hang up and call back later during my office hours. Now, that's for this number, Monday through Thursday here. On Friday, I'm at this number. That's on the Birmingham West Campus. Please don't leave one there, because that's not my voicemail, okay? That's the office I'm in on Fridays, but that's somebody else's office. She's a grant coordinator. She's only there Monday through Thursday, so I use her office when I'm on the Birmingham campus on Friday. I don't have a permanent office there. So if you leave a message there, I'll never, ever hear it. I can't access those. It's her phone number. Okay, so don't leave a message there. Don't bother leaving one here. I might get to it, but it'll be way past the time. My office here on this campus, Western Campus, in this building, A building, in room 265. Let me show you basically how to get there from here. Here's the classroom we're in right here. This is the one room here. Go out here, angle left, go down that little half flight of stairs, go almost to the end of the hall. Don't run into the wall, don't go to the stairwell. The doors are just between the mechanical room and the stairwell. That's my office, 265. So just down on the lower level of the second floor. Okay. When I'm on the Birmingham campus on Fridays, and it's most Fridays, I'm in the academic building, and the room number is B122. It's called the academic building by name, but it's also called the B Hall. So that's why the B is there, room 122. Now, if you don't want to look for that stuff, just ask anybody where Dr. Pruitt's office is. Just about everybody on the Birmingham campus knows who Dr. Pruitt is and where his office is. So just ask for that. He has a corner suite. When you first go into it, the secretary's desk is in front. His is the main office in the corner. Behind her desk is a copy room. That's my office on Fridays, okay? It's got a nice table and stuff there, but that's about it. And the copy machine. So that's where I am on Fridays. Now, these office hours are not correct. Let me give you basically what my office hours right now are, okay? Mondays, when this class is over at 1:55, so from 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock. I'm just about always here until 6. And today, if I don't have the energy, I may go home early, but yeah, that'll be sickly. But I'm just about always here until 6. Tuesday and Thursday now, I'm not certain. If he did cancel that linear algebra class, here will be my office hours on Tuesday and Thursday. I usually am here by 8 o'clock, but classes don't start until 8:30. Okay, so I'm in the office from 8 to 8:30. But then I got pre-calculus algebra at 8, pre-calculus trig, 8:30, pre-calculus trig at 10, and then the linear algebra was to be at 11:30, right?
Yes.
Yeah. If that was getting canceled, then I'll have from basically 11 o'clock until something like 12 or 12:15 will be office hours then, okay? About 10:45 until 12:15 will be office hours. That's also when I eat lunch, when I eat lunch usually in my office. Okay. And then I have a 12:15 class that goes until, it's a mini-term science class, physical science class. So the class goes from 12:15 to 3:45, 2.5 hours, and the lab is 3:45 until 5:45. So then I have another 15 minutes in the office between 5:45 and 6. So not many office hours on Tuesday and Thursday, basically when the linear algebra class would have been 11:30 until 12:15. Something around in there, 11, something. Okay. I'm not used to the new hours. Yeah, 11:15 till 12:15. I believe that's going to be about right. Oh, the linear algebra would have been starting at 11:30, right? Okay, so 11:15 to 12:15, something like that is when I'm in the office on Tuesday and Thursday. Okay? I believe that's right. Okay, and that's your investment campus. Now, Wednesday is a lot like Monday, except I do have a physics class on the Birmingham East Campus from 4:30 to 6:30. So that means I'll have to leave this campus by 4 o'clock to get there by 4:30. So therefore, my office hours on Wednesday are only 2 to 4. Monday is 2 to 6. Wednesday is 2 to 4. And the Tuesday, Thursday office hours are basically 11 to 12 or something like that, somewhere in that time frame. Now on Friday, I'm on the Birmingham campus most Fridays, and that's usually, I think this term is going to be 8 to 12. Now I'm usually there well past 12, but officially I'm supposed to be there at least 4 hours, and if you added up all the hours, you'll see I'm on campus way more than my 40 hours anyway, so, but whatever. Officially, it'll be 8 to 12. Okay, the course description. Well, this is a slow cursor. All right. All right. Out of energy. This is the third of 3 courses actually in the old, we weren't supposed to change this, but I had to make this change. In the state requirement, this was several years ago, they left out the HR and it said the third of T courses. I'm not going to write that on the syllabus, so I'll put it in it, but I think they changed it there. 3 courses in basic calculus sequence. Topics include vector functions, functions with 2 or more variables, partial derivatives, including applications, quadratic surfaces, multiple integration, vector calculus, including Green's theorem, Pearl and divergence, surface integrals, and Stokes' theorem. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? That is a lot. So we're probably not going to hit all of that completely. Here's the things I think are the most important. We will deal with vector functions, vectors and vector functions. This is a really big one, functions of 2 or more variables. And we'll do partial derivatives. That to me is one of the key elements of the course. I'm sorry, there it is, partial derivatives here. Quadratic surfaces, actually that's the thing we're going to do first. Quadratic surfaces, and then we'll get into the vector functions and functions of two or more variables. Then we'll do we'll function two or more variables, including partial derivatives, and then we'll do multiple integration. To me, these two are the main things of the course: partial derivatives, multiple integration. And see, part of that you need for differential equations. You need to know partial derivatives. Maybe a little bit of multiple integration first, but you could get by with it though. And then vector calculus, including the Green's theorem, curl divergence. So we may be weak on this part because these are the most important parts. Okay? Prerequisite is Math 126. Co-requisite none. The required textbook. Now this is a change. Last fall we were still in this book. This fall we're in a different book, but it's the same one you used for Cal 1 and 2. Okay? What book did you use?
I think we used the same.
This one right here? Legowski?
Yeah.
Were you here at Lawson or somewhere else? Take it? Oh, so you missed a term or two.
I missed last semester.
Okay. Oh, last summer.
Yeah,
That was the last summer we used that book, yeah, for this course. We started this book for Cal 1 last fall,
yeah,
and we carried it through. So
yeah,
if you still have the old book?
I rented it, so it was
Oh, you rented it?
yeah.
Okay. So here's a deal, and I don't know, what did you do about your book? Did you buy it or did you
I bought it.
You got it, okay. I'll talk about this in a minute, but this is not the required text. The required text is this one, which is calculus, same name. It doesn't say early transcendentals. It's by Ron Larson and Bruce Edwards. This is the 11th edition. That was the 3rd edition there. This was Freeman. This is Cengage. This one I think is 2018 maybe. This was 2015. You can use a graphic calculator. It's not required for the course. You may find it helpful, but it's not required. You will need paper, maybe graph paper or not, pencils or pen, whatever you prefer to write with is fine. But you will need pencils. We'll be doing things in class. Now this Blackboard statement has been changed slightly, but it's pretty much as written. Now they say all courses must be trained in Blackboard or something. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Back before it said all also take community college students must be trained in Blackboard. Maybe they don't have trained in, but it says use Blackboard daily. Well, a course doesn't use Blackboard daily, so I don't know, to gain access. The wording is rather strange, but let me explain how I use Blackboard. Now, you're familiar with Blackboard, right? Okay. I do put the syllabus there. One reason I haven't done it yet, I don't have the syllabus updated yet. As soon as I get it updated, I'll put it there. Okay? Usually, if I'm giving you a handout, I will hand them out to you. So I don't usually put those on Blackboard. Okay? The PowerPoint shows will be. Now, in that old book, I don't know if Dr. Bryant even used those. The PowerPoint in that book stank. I mean, it was terrible. Okay? This is great. This is much better. I don't have them out there yet, but I will have them out there. Time out. Let's talk about where on Blackboard this will be used. Y'all are familiar with Blackboard, right? Okay, when you get to this course in Blackboard, there's a series of blue tabs. It used to be about this long, now it goes on to the next page. I mean, they've got so many out there. And they took away the one that I normally used and put in something called Course Handouts and More. It's just sort of a silly title, but it's the closest thing I can find. So that's where I put. That's where I'll put the syllabus. That's where I'll put the PowerPoint. I'll put the research paper guide instructions. I'll put my locator card. I'll put websites that either I found or other students have said they found useful. I'll put those. There will be web links. And I'll also put the YouTube video link that you can go to follow what we've done in class already. Okay? Now, let me do a timeout there too. I've taught this course before, probably several times, many times, but the last time I taught it was in the other book. So what I do, like for this class here, I'll name syllabus. So when I do load this onto YouTube into that, they call it a playlist, I think is what they call it. When I load it into that playlist, I will put this one in and take out the one I used last time, that was last fall. And then when I do the next class, I'll take that, I'll put that in and take out the one that corresponds to that. So you'll always have in there at the top will be a whole bunch of files. Those were the lectures from last fall. So if you want to see what's ahead, you can look at that. It'll be from a different book than the one that you're used to. But then you start this one at the bottom, at the one called Syllabus, and then everything beyond that. So that's where it'll be, under Course Handouts and More, I think is the name of that file. So all those things will be there, including that. Okay. So the PowerPoint shows will be there in static form, but then when I'm teaching, I'll use PowerPoint, and you'll hear me talk about the PowerPoint, write on the PowerPoint, because this computer has a ionizing pen, and if you've ever signed out at Home Depot or something like that, you know those aren't the best in the world. This is a little bit better than those, but it's still a little messy. Okay, so all that will be there. Activities, the school may post some. We won't have any. Assignments, the research paper assignment will be there. It's not there yet, but it will be. In another way, I do have the assignments out there. I don't type them in every day and say, here's what your assignment is. But on the YouTube video, when I finish a section in the text, I'll give you your assignments from that section. Or when we come to the end of the class, then we'll go to the section we're on and tell you how many problems to do there. So the assignments will be there, but they'll be there through the YouTube video. Announcements, the school makes announcements. I usually won't have any unless something special comes up, and I'll put those out. But I usually don't do many of those. Grades, of course, will be there. Especially early in the term, hopefully I'll get things graded sooner. But later in the term, things slow down a bit because I'm registering for spring term and that kind of stuff. Things just get slow toward the end. Now, I don't like this next sentence that says failure to use Blackboard could severely damage your ability to pass the course. I think if they had been a lot more positive, it would have been closer to reality. If your proper use of Blackboard could greatly enhance your ability to do well in the course. To me, it would be a far better statement. There's no schedule book. That's going to be changed. And then I don't like the last sentence either. The students should always check Blackboard as not paid prior to coming to class. Why would they have that there? In case the instructor has canceled class, right? Why else would you want to check it before you came to class? Huh? Now, how many times did I cancel class?
Almost never.
Okay, yeah. He's been in several of my classes. I try never to, okay? I'm not ever going to say never, but I do my best never to cancel a class. So if something's coming up, I'll let you know way ahead of time. If something comes up as an emergency, the odds are I'm not going to have a chance to get it on the announcement page. So that's sort of crazy. Now, this part is pretty much going to be like it is. I'm going to try to get, okay, it's on there pretty well. Okay. I'm going to try to tie in, because these chapters are the other book. So I'm going to try to tie it into this book. Student learning outcomes. Okay? Students will graph and classify quadrant surfaces. Okay, let me tell you, in this book, where you find quadrant surfaces. This is where we'll be beginning. This is 11.6. Okay? Now, I believe in the summer, we basically scratched the surface in chapter 11, but we did get into 11. Okay? We'll jump over to 11.6 and pick up from there. Okay? So, ignore this. That will be 11.6 is where we begin. Then it says, students will work with and perform calculus operations on vector functions, compute, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Well, chapter 12, vector valued functions, where we do a lot of the things that are listed there. Okay? Then it says students, this is, was in the old book, chapter 13, is now chapter 12. What was chapter 12 is our chapter 11. Okay? Students will work with functions of several variables, compute limits, take partial derivatives, applying the tangent plane, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's number 3. Functions of several variables. That's chapter 13. It was 14 in the old book. It's 13 in this book. Okay? Students will perform multiple integration techniques and apply them. Okay? That's chapter 14, which was listed as 15 here. So you see the books are almost set up identically the same. They had one extra chapter in the old book they didn't have in this one. Back in Cal 2, they had 2 chapters on applications. In this book, it's 1 chapter on applications. Okay. So multiple integration. And as I said, these 2 are the most important chapters, chapter 13 and 14. These are important too, but we will be focusing more on 13 and 14. Okay? And then number 5 up there, students will perform line and surface integrals, applying them to Green's theorem, Stokes' theorem, and divergence theorem. That's vector analysis, and I think you'll see all those listed. The odds of getting through all those, slim and none. I mean, they're really hard to get all that covered. These are the 2 most important ones. We'll do some of this here, some of this down here too. But again, before they split that into 2 chapters, we'll do it in 1. Chapter 15 is vector analysis. So I'll change the wording there a little bit. Okay, and students will research and write on the topic of calculus. So your writing competency will be the research paper. And then I'm going to take this out because the overall competency is not going to be a comprehensive final exam. It's just going to be your last test. Now, I do have a question for you. Do you prefer in-class test or a take-home test? What? Really? Wow. It caught me by surprise. I'm just kidding. Okay. I prefer them too. For a class this small and to have a decent test of your ability, it takes way more than an hour and 40 minutes. I don't like that time pressure on you anyway. So what I do, I give you take-home tests. Okay? So at the end of every chapter, now remember this is only 1 section here. So 11.6, I think it was, and chapter 12, that will be given as 1 test. We will do that 1 section on quadratic surfaces, and then we'll do the vector guided functions. Okay? That will be your first test, not a separate test here. Okay? Then chapter 13 will be a test, chapter 14 a test, and then chapter 15, that includes this. It was there 16 and 17. That will be a test. Now, will we have time for even all those? I'm not sure. But whatever we're doing at the end of the chapter, when we get to the end of the term, whatever we've just been doing, that will be your last test. Technically the final examination, but it won't be comprehensive. Except in the fact that everything that you're doing down here, you're using everything you used up above too. So in one sense it is comprehensive, but it's not a question from every chapter or anything like that. It will only be on that last chapter. So the odds are that will be our final exam. So I'll just take this out there, and that will be your last test. Okay? Any questions on that? I know that's a little vague and probably disheartening. So how am I going to evaluate you? Well, obviously, you do have a research paper. It's required for the course. That's not optional. It's not droppable. It's required. Okay, and I'll give you a whole assignment on that. I'll explain that to you in more detail later. Then we'll have a chapter test at the end of each chapter, understanding that first section is not a whole chapter, so we'll go into the next chapter. The lowest chapter test score may be dropped except for that last exam. Remember, that's just going to be a chapter test. That was not droppable, and the paper is not droppable, but those in between, I'll drop your lowest score if it helps your average. Okay? Hopefully it will. Okay? The final exam may not be dropped and will count as one test score because it's just going to be another chapter test. Everything will be graded on a 100-point scale. And anything 90s or A's, 80s or B's, and 70s or C, 60s are D's, 50s are below or F's. Don't go there at all. Okay, stay up here. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm so out of energy. Let me see if I can just. No, it didn't. All right, attendance. Hopefully it'll be better than today. We're at 50%. My Cal 2 class was 100% this morning. Okay, no, y'all can't help it. The 2 are here. Students are expected to attend all classes for which you register, blah, blah, blah. I know I'm recording the classes, but guess what? You can't ask the recording a question, can you? Okay? The best use of that recording is to, when you're doing a take-home test, doing your homework or something like that, no, I remember he did such, but I don't remember how. Then you go back and look. If you weren't in class, you don't even know what I said. You don't know where it was in the class. And then you have to listen to the whole thing. Now, I know Terrell's going to do that every time anyway, but yeah, like you always do, right? Yeah, right, okay. But it's much helpful. Speaking of fun, we got 3/4 of the class here now. And you still go by Jeremy? Yeah. All right. So we're only missing Daniel Farmer. Does anyone know him? Because all this time I thought maybe he was in the evening section, maybe he's a transient student. I don't know. But anyway, he's already paid, so that's good to hear. Even though there's only 3 paid students, 4 total students, I'm going to try to let them keep this class open because I know y'all need it to graduate, right? Yeah, okay. So, and are y'all both planning to graduate in spring?
Well, in fall.
Oh, at the end of this term. Oh, that's even more urgent. Because I was going to say, if you were going to be here in the spring, that's when you would take differential equations, and you need this course with differential equations. So, okay, but you're going to graduate without differential equations. Okay, you're welcome to come back anytime and take them if you want to. Okay. All right, so I've started the thing, but you know you can pick it up on YouTube video. Now, I don't have that set up yet, but I'll get it there as soon as I can, because I wasn't sure if the class was going to make it or not. Okay, so let's talk about, we're talking about attendance, try to be here. It's hard to think about makeup work when you have take-home tests. How do you make up? You know? In other words, let me just say it this way. I'll give you the deadlines for the paper. You really have all term to work on it, but I recommend you do it sooner rather than later. Your take-home test, nominally, I give you a week to turn those back. But you who have been in my class know that I'll allow you more time if you need it. But here's why I give you a week. There's 2 big reasons I give you a week to do your test. Number 1, you always have 1 more class day to come in and ask questions. So you say, I don't understand what you're asking in number 3. Or, where was it? Something like that, okay? Here is a question I will answer, but not to your satisfaction. Can you do number 7? The answer will be yes, but I'm not going to. Right? Because the test question, you're supposed to do number 7. But here is a far better question with far better results that you can ask. Can you do problem 43 on page blah, 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 which, by the way, is similar to number 7 on the test? Absolutely, I'll do that one anytime. Okay? So that's the kind of thing you can ask in that class in between, when I give you the test and when it's technically due. The second reason I give you a week is you always have a weekend. Now, I don't know, some of you may be working when you're not here in class, and it may be the weekend's the only time you have to work on things. So, not, you work the full weekend too, huh? Through Sunday. Wow. Okay, well, you just have to work it out anytime you can. Okay. So, yeah. But, like I said, I usually give you more time. But here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want, when I'm giving you test 3, that you still have to turn in test 2. So I say try to get it in a week, but definitely get it in before we're through with the next chapter. Because if you miss something in the previous chapter and I catch it on the test, then you can see what you missed and not make that same mistake on the next chapter. But if you haven't turned in the previous chapter, you're going to miss it twice, and have it taken off twice. So always have it in before we're through with that next one. The sooner the better, so I can get it back to you and you can correct your errors, but definitely before I get to the next one. Okay, and remember, you do get to drop one of those middle tests, test 1, 2, 3, whatever. Just not the final and not the paper. You do get to drop one. Lateness, I'm going to try to be here every time. Here's one of the deals here. I know today it was the phone call. But like I said, I'm still on a pretty strong antibiotic. And because it's a strong antibiotic, it does numbers on my digestive tract. I don't know if you've ever been on antibiotics, but it can really mess with your stomach. So what I had to do, I was supposed to take it about 10, 15 or so this morning, but I was in class then, and I was going to take it before the class, but I was so stacked with taking students around and moving stuff that I didn't get to take my antibiotic on time, so I didn't take it till right before this class, and I didn't want to take it on an empty stomach. And they say that yogurt is a good thing to eat if you're taking antibiotics, because it replaces some of the helpful bacteria that antibiotics wipe out. So I got my little thing of yogurt eaten, but that's all the lunch I've had. So that was the other reason I was a little late. I had to get my yogurt eaten before I came up here, and that's when the phone rang while I was eating my yogurt. So anyway, but I'll try to be here on time. If I'm not, that means I'm down in the office trying to get a few mouthfuls of something, or someone's caught me down there or called me or something. But I'll try to be here on time. Okay? Now, this next statement of harassment and discrimination, these will be given in fuller detail on the new syllabus, and please read them when you get that. But basically, let me summarize this. We want educational environments free of harassment and discrimination related to an individual's race, color, gender, religion, national origin, state, age, disability, whatever. Okay? Such harassment is a violation of state policy. Any practice or behavior that constitutes harassment or discrimination is a violation and will not be tolerated. Okay? If you want to file a blah, 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 please do. Harassment of any nature is never tolerated by the country. You get the idea. We don't want it to happen here, and frankly, I've been here. We were just checking on this last week sometime. Something came in the mail, and I've been in the system for more than 21 years now. So I've been here mostly in this classroom, but in this building. Mostly in this building. I do on the Birmingham campus. Generally, more than 21 years. And I have seen, and it's mostly because no one's going to do it in front of me. I'm not saying there hasn't been, but I have seen basically nothing that would fall into this thing. I'm not saying it hasn't happened yet during that time, but they haven't done it in front of me. So, and they probably won't. So, we don't want it to happen. And I throw into here bullying as well. To me, that's harassment and discrimination. So we won't, if I see it happening, I'm going to jump on it like, as my mother used to say, her mother said, like a duck on a June bug, whatever that is, okay? But I'm going to jump all over it. And we're going to deal with it. And we're going to treat it fairly. You're going to have all the due process you need, but we're just not going to tolerate it here on this campus. Now, I'll give you an example. It wasn't really discrimination or harassment. It was just stupidity in my mind. But we have a great automotive program over there, okay? Fantastic. But most of the kids that go into that, not all, but most of them, are fresh out of high school. And generally kids that really didn't like being in school, they wanted to do things with their hands, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. But sometimes in the mix, you're also these kids whose dads say, you've got to go to college. And I want to go, and then they'll say, well, I'll do auto mechanics or something like that. and they really aren't interested in auto mechanics. We had a kid like that once. He was in my math class that I was teaching for the automotive students. And then one day he didn't show up, and he was almost always there. And the next day when he didn't show up, I said, "What's the story?" "Oh, you didn't hear?" I said, "No, I didn't." "What?" He said, "Well, one day at lunch, he just decided to walk across people's cars in the parking lot." Stupid. Okay. Somebody saw him, someone jerked him down from there, got him to the dean's office, and within probably 15 or 30 minutes, he was off campus, and we haven't seen him since. Okay? That's generally what I think. That wasn't probably discrimination or harassment. It was just stupidity, but that's generally how I think this should be handled. Now, they probably will get more due process than that, but frankly, we don't want it happening here. Now, because no one's probably going to do it in front of me, this is where you come in. If you see, sense, or even hear rumors about somebody who is being discriminated against, harassed, bullied, or any other thing like that, please let us know, because we don't want it happening here. We don't want to tolerate it on campus at all. And so far, like I said, this has been a really nice place to work, because I haven't seen that kind of stuff happen. Now let's move on. And by the way, the new syllabus contains pages beyond this, things like decorum and plagiarism and cheating and all sorts of stuff. Please read the stuff when it's out there. I'm kind of glad I have this abbreviated form here, because I can't read it anyhow. Americans with Disabilities. Okay, now guess what? If you haven't noticed already, I'm hard of hearing. Okay? And those who've been in my class before really know this. So I kind of identify with people with disabilities, because mine isn't serious, certainly, but it's something that is a pain in the neck. So please, if you know of anybody, or you yourself, that has any kind of a disability, please get the documentation here to the college. Dr. Renee Herndon on this campus, and Mr. Ning McCoy Jones on the Birmingham campus. Either one of them, they are professionals at this. They'll go through, they'll see what accommodations you need. We will give them to you, okay? Without a doubt, okay? And even if you don't get things to your satisfaction, there's ways to request another evaluation. So lots of things here, places to contact people to see that kind of stuff. So if you or somebody else has any of those, please let us know. Here's the course calendar for last fall. It's going to be pretty similar to this time. The past weekend was the 20th, not the 21st. All these dates will be changed, but just about everything on there will be similar. The one difference is we had Veterans Holiday celebrated on Friday the 10th last time. It's going to be a Monday this time, so it's going to cost us a class day. Boo, yes. Labor Day, of course, is always a Monday. Boo, yes. So we lose a week. Tuesday, Thursday classes don't lose, because we've got two holidays on ours that they don't have on theirs. So we'll try to get as much done. I think it's Friday the 7th is the last day of class, and final exams are the 10th through the 14th. So, anyway, I'm sorry I'm yawning, but it's just I don't have any energy left. And throat is going on me. So I'll try to get that updated. When I get the corrected syllabus out there, then if you will, this thing is a pain in the neck. You can either type this, you can either type onto this form and email it to me, or you can print it off and sign it, however you want to do it. Once I have it out there on Blackboard, then if you'll pull this off and get me the acknowledgement page, I'd appreciate it. Any questions on the syllabus as you see it and hear it now? Notice, got a lot to change. Now, here's the thing about the textbook, too. It probably won't bother you any. Did you buy your book, or do you have, you've already got it? Okay. So it may only be you. They got this new program. This book, remember I said, was Cengage Learning? It's called Cengage Unlimited. Now, this will be in the new syllabus, so read it carefully. what Cengage is doing now is for $119, you can use any and all Cengage books that we use on this campus for the full term. So, any of you in physics? Okay. If you didn't already have the books, you could, for $119, you'd have access to everything in both the calculus and the physics. If you were taking another course like art or something else and they were using the Cengage book, all that's included for that $119. Now, it's for that term alone. The next term, if you're in another course, then you have to do another $119. Okay. If you choose Cengage Limited. You can still buy the book, rent the book, or do whatever you want to with the book. Now, if you, and that's all virtual though, that's an ebook. If you want a hard copy and you're on the Cengage Learning for an additional $8, actually less than that, $7.99, you can get a hard copy of the book. You can't get it for $8 if you're not on Cengage Unlimited, but on that you can get it. So if you did want a copy of the book, you could do that. If you still wanted to rent the book or do it any other way, you can still do that. Now, I don't guess I went over the advantages of this book since you haven't used it. Did I go over this? I think that was my last class. Okay. This author, and this is one reason I don't really like Cengage, never have, because they were always overpriced before. Now they come up with this bargain thing, but I know their actuaries or whoever figured out they're going to get their money somehow. But the one thing I like about this author, even though he's a Cengage author, he has this thing called CalcChat.com. For every odd number exercise in the book, you can go to CalcChat.com and see a worked out solution for how they got their answers. CalcView.com has even more detail, but only for a limited number. They're always odd numbers, but not for every one of them. Also, he has another website called LarsonCalculus.com. These are all free websites. You don't need to be signed up with anything else. You can go to them. Even if you don't own the book, you can go to them. I just gave you the titles. And you can use those websites. If you have the book, though, you have something to refer to. And so, to me, I don't see any reason for WebAssign if you got that. Now, if you like WebAssign and want WebAssign, I'm going to try to get them to set up a course for me. I don't use it, but if you find it useful, I'll set that up, and we can go that route. Okay? So, all those are available whether you do buy the book, rent the book, have the book, or don't even use the book. You know, those are all available. I'd suggest you have a book, but it's whatever's the cheapest way to get that, renting it or whatever, fine with me. Okay, any questions on the syllabus then? Okay, then I'm going to can the syllabus here. I'll make corrections later. I don't have my locator card finished yet, but it's going to look like this, having when I'm on campus, when I'm off campus, when I'm, you know, whatever, when I'm in class, when I'm out of class, you know, whatever, for all days. I don't have it done yet because I'm still not certain about that Tuesday, Thursday. I think that one's been canceled by now, but I don't know that for a fact. But once I have it, then I'll get the syllabus of the locator card done. Okay, I won't need that anymore today, so I'll can that one too. Yes, we'll, yuck. Let me save this as. Well, here's where I'll put it. Sorry, I shouldn't be doing this during class time, but just since I'd already done some work on it. Where is this? I get impatient. Microsoft is so slow. Here it comes. Okay. Oh. No, that's not what I want anyway. Okay. I forgot to change this. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm through with that then. Okay. I think I'm through with that for today. Let's talk about the research paper. Now, I know two of you have been in multiple of my classes before, so you know this stuff, but let me go over it for the third one. And for Daniel, who's not here, since I haven't had him either. Okay, here's the journal instructions for the research paper. You get to choose a topic. I'm not going to assign a topic. You choose anything that has to do with calculus, basically. Okay? It can be a person that contributed to the theory of calculus, the development of calculus, or the improvement of calculus, whatever. It can be a theory, the fundamental theorem of calculus, part 1, part 2, mean value theory, any kind of theory like that you like. A phenomenon that is explained or identified, for instance, here's one example. Why did Newton develop calculus anyway? Well, he was trying to describe velocities, accelerations instantaneously, and you couldn't do that with average velocity or average acceleration, not instantaneous. Why did he need to know that? Because a friend of his, I think he was a friend, colleague, I always could blank on this guy's name. Theory of planetary motion. Had 3 laws of planetary. You can almost say it, okay? But the guy who came up with those, okay? He empirically developed these, but he couldn't give the physical reasons why. Well, Newton was developing the law of gravitation, and so that was instrumental in explaining this, but also immediate emergent. Goodness, I can't think. I can't do anything. I'm so tired. Instantaneous. That's the word I'm trying to think. Instantaneous velocities and accelerations were crucial to that, mixed with the law of gravity. So he had to develop a math that would define this, and the math up to this point couldn't. So that guy, that theory, in order for it to work, to describe why it worked, you needed to know that. So that theory, whatever principles of planetary motion, depended on calculus to explain why it worked. And there's many others like that, okay? Phenomena that cannot be explained except by the use of calculus. For instance, things like redshift or something like that in the movement of galaxies and stars and things like this. You almost have to say, there's tons of things that you can have like this. Applications. Now, I really like these papers, especially if it's something applied to either your interest or your field of study. Like, is it electrical engineering? Okay, what are you? Electrical, what are yours? What's your goal? All 3 of you are electrical engineers. There are tons of things. In fact, if you're talking about an LRC circuit, You know what I mean by that? With L means inductor, R is resistor, and C is capacitor. So if you have a circuit that has inductors, capacitors, and resistors in them, and you want to describe that, you've got to use calculus, because an inductor acts like an integral and a capacitor acts like a derivative. So if you're modeling that circuit, you do it with calculus. You couldn't do it without calculus. I mean, it's just not applicable. I mean, not able to be done, okay? So anything such as that, okay? Any other such topic about which you have an interest, you know, it may not be your field of study, anything. Now, here's something new I've added in recent years. I think y'all seen this every time you've been here. It can be an internet application or demonstration, perhaps a YouTube video or something like that. Let's say there's something in the book, like partial derivatives, and you read the book, and you're like, what? And then you hear me describe it, and you say, what? And then you say, surely there's a better explanation to this, and you go to Khan Academy or, you know, some other source out there, and you find the video that really says, wow, this makes perfect sense now. You can write on that internet application, that video, that YouTube, or whatever it is that you happen to do that you find useful to the class, okay? So if you find something like that, and you want to say what it was that was weak about the book, or weak about my instruction, or just things that, you know, made it better. Or you looked at 4 or 5 different sites and you saw weaknesses here and there, but you found this one, and this one's really made the lights come on. You know, you know, everything started making sense. Ways that you found it better. How you wish they had gone on and done another step or two. You know, anything such as that, you can easily get a 1 to 2 page paper out of that. So what I'd like to ask you to do is write on the piece of paper your name, that should be pretty easy, and your best choice of the paper topic. So you can take the rest of this week or whatever and be trying to find what you would like to write on. Now, anytime you want to change that, you certainly can. But you know, start looking now and write that on a piece of paper and get it back to me either Wednesday or next Monday, sometime real soon. Okay? Now, since you're going to waste a piece of paper on just your name and a paper topic, let me give you some things. These are just optional. You don't have to do that. It has nothing to do with your paper. It has nothing to do with the course. It's just something that every now and then happens. And it's not often, like one every year and a half or 2 years or something like that. I'll get a panic phone call or someone actually coming into the classroom and saying, this is so it's in your blah, blah, blah class. We need to get in touch with them right away. Now, this is not a student. This is not somebody off the street. This is someone here at college. And they say, the number in the system, we can't get an answer. It seems to be out of order, blah, blah, blah. Do you have a better way to get in touch with them? So if you have a very good place to get in touch with you, maybe a cell phone, that's what I'm going to guess most of you will be doing. And especially since they may not have it in the records down there, if you've just recently gotten it or changed or something like that. But even if you thought it was in there, if you want to give me your very best number, you can. I don't have to have it. You don't have to include it here, but if you want to give it to me, you can. I will probably never use it. It'll only be if some emergency arises, if someone needs it. And again, I'm talking about someone in the staff and administration of the college, not just some student. I'll never give it to a student. Okay? Now, if it happens to be a cell number, and there is a chance that the teacher could take it away from you because you're abusing it in class, no, I'm just kidding. Or, it went right over. Or, it got run over by a car, or you left it in the car, or somewhere else, or you changed service, or something like that. If there's a chance that any of those it went dead, you know, the battery died, anything could have happened to it, then if you want to give me a good backup number, like Mama's landline or something like that, you can. You don't have to. I don't require it. It's not necessary, but if you want to give me your next best number, that's good too. Now, Muhammad's already said he works 7 days a week, right? Okay? I don't know how your job is, but a lot of jobs don't want you talking on the cell phone, do they? Okay? But if there is a number at work that they don't mind you getting emergency numbers through, and you want to give me that number, I'm sure that's not going to be on the system downstairs. You can do that. If you don't want to, if they don't like you giving out the number, then you don't have to. But if you do have some backup numbers that might be where you can be reached, I'll take that as well. And again, I'm not going to abuse those. In fact, at the end of the term, sometime when I get around to it, they'll be shredded. I'm not even going to have them lying around my office. But, once, I don't think I'll need it anymore. So you can give me that. I don't need any number, but if you want to, since you're already going to give your name in the paper title, do that. Okay. You'll need to have at least one, but two or more or better, outside sources for your paper. Now let me tell you this. This book is a great resource for coming up with ideas for your paper. You may already have the idea, you don't even need the book. But you might want to thumb through the book and see some of the people they mention, some of the theorems they mention, some of the applications they mention, anything such as that. If you get the idea out of the book, you have to go out of the book to get your sources. The book cannot be the source for your paper. So it has to be an outside source. At least one, two or more better. Okay? They can be from other books, journals, articles, newspaper, magazines, anything you can find in the library, either our library or any library. Or, now this is where it gets a little dicey, any legitimate source found on the internet. Now what do I mean by that? If I were pressed to say what's the most incredible invention that's happened during my lifetime, it would be awfully close to it. I can't think of anything else that's more incredible than the internet. Because in 1951, that's how old I am, I don't think it existed in any way, shape, or form. But even if it did, it was very primitive. Very primitive. So I don't even think it was there. Sometime during my lifetime, that's come, the whole thing is here. And now you can pick up your phone and find anything you want to from anywhere, anyway. Okay? It is incredible. Two really big problems. Number one, at least, and I think way more than half the stuff you can find on the internet is total garbage. Total garbage. Okay? The second problem, related to that, sometimes you don't know which half it is. Okay? So you have to be extraordinarily careful about the internet. So if you have got any question about it, run it by me. Show me the site. I'll look at it. Oh, no, that looks great. Or, I'm not too sure about that. You might want to find something a little more documented. Okay? So I'll let you decide that. Any books and journals, that kind of stuff, always are good. Internet, be very careful. The textbook, remember, is not an outside source. Now, how long does your paper need to be? Basically 1 to 2 pages of word processed text. Okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Now, I don't care if you use a format or not, or what format you use, or anything else, but a lot of students will turn in a paper, and they have some sort of header at the top, which I guess the English classes teach you should do. Fine with me. Then they'll skip a few lines and have the title, and maybe triple space again, and start typing here. So what's a page of text? It's going to go to the bottom of this page, and then on the second page, come down at least that far. That's 1 page of text. So it's going to be at least 2 pieces of paper. Minimum at least 2 pieces of paper. But at least 1 page of text. Okay? Now, I said a page of text. I want it double spaced. This is single spaced. So you don't even have to have it this. In fact, I don't want it this crowded because it's easier for me to read and mark if it's double spaced. So please double space it. Okay? And this is 12 pitch or 12-point font. That's my preference. I don't want it tiny and I don't want it huge. Okay? No bigger than 12 and certainly big enough so I don't have to squint to read it. Okay? The font you use is up to you as long as I can read it. Okay? If you get the general idea, you're writing this paper for my benefit, okay? It's not just what you want. You might like curly Q's and Old English or hieroglyphics and stuff. I can't read that stuff. I don't want to read that stuff. Get it to something I can read. But there's tons and tons of great fonts out there. Times New Roman is most defaults. This happens to be Arial. Courier is fine. There's tons of good readable fonts. But I don't want any of the squirrely stuff that I have trouble reading. What is that letter anyway? Okay, so stay away from that. Now try to keep the paper less than 2 pages. You don't have to, but that's your goal. 1 to 2 pages of text, which would be at least 2 pages, physical pages, and no more than 3 if you can. But guess what? You know, if you get so excited about a subject, okay, or the topic or whatever you're writing on, and you find it hard to stop, keep writing. I mean, I want you to get interested in something that this pertains to. But just, here's what I don't want you to do. And I've very seldom had this happen, but I have had it happen over the probably 15 or more years that I've been requiring this in all my classes, is I don't want you to try to replace quality with quantity. Because it's not going to work, okay? Because if you're writing me a good paper, but you're so fired up about it, it goes 3 or 4 pages, I'm not going to take off points for it being too long, if it's a good paper, okay? But here's how I grade your paper. When you turn it in to me, it's a 100-point paper, right? Now, when I start reading it, you start losing points if I find errors. And if you turn me in a very sloppy paper, and you make it really long trying to impress me, you're just going to be losing more and more points the more pages it is, because I'm not taking off because it's too long. I'm taking it off because you made so many errors, okay? So please try to keep it concise, but if it's a good quality paper, you're not going to be losing points anyway, okay? So shoot for 1 to 2 pages of text, okay? You can use any format you want. Most English classes teach MLA, which is Modern Language Association format. If that's what you like and that's what you use, fine. But a lot of sciences and social sciences and other groups use APA, which is American Psychological Association. And if you like that, fine, it's a great format. Any other will work. I'm a member of several professional organizations. I swear, every one of them has its own format. I don't care which one you use, just pick a format and go with it. But the point is be consistent in your format. So if you start blocking your paragraphs, make sure you block all your paragraphs. If you start indenting the paragraph, make sure you indent them all. If you start in one font, stay in that font, okay? Unless there's something like you're trying to emphasize something with italics or with bold or something, but then just make it that little piece, not the whole paper, okay? Let me give you one other example. I don't see it often, but I have seen it a few times. Someone references a source somewhere up here in this first paragraph or so, and they put a citation there. And let's say they say the author's last name, colon, year of publication. Okay? Okay, fine. Down here they reference another source, but it's the same type of a source, maybe a journal article or a book or something. It's the same type of a source, but they open parentheses, put the author's last name, comma, title, and close it out. Well, here you had the same types of sources, but you reference them in 2 different ways. Now, I think I know what happened. I think when you were typing along and you got to this one, you just looked in the book or the journal article or something, you saw how they did the references, and then you referenced them that same way. But you got down here, because it was a different article, possibly using a different format, okay, then they reference theirs differently. And you did it a different way here. Look, I don't care what they're using. I want you to choose a format and use that throughout your paper, okay? So if you've had the English class or whatever, they tell you how to do those. So be consistent, okay? Now, spelling, grammar, sentence structure, and all those kinds of errors will cost you just like they would in an English class or any other class. Well, maybe not as much here because I'm looking a little bit more at the content, but all these things count. So guess what? Use spell check. Every word processing package has it, don't they? I haven't seen one lately that didn't. Use grammar check. I think they all have it. Use it, okay? And use good proofreading. I don't know if you've been harped on by this before, but I had a senior high school English teacher, and when she required us to write some sort of research paper. And here's what her advice was. She said, get it done and get it done early. Get started, get going on it, get it done. And then she used this phrase, let it rest for a few days, over a weekend, maybe a week. And then pick it up again, here was her phrase, with fresh eyes. And read it, as if you had never seen it before. And if when you're reading along, you stop and say, what? What was I saying? What did I mean here? Guess what? If you see that and you think that, I'm going to see that and think that more than likely. And the thing is, when you're typing along, you know what you're thinking. And you know what you're typing is saying what you're thinking, okay? You may be leaving out every other word, but you know, when you look at it, you're going to put them in there because you know what you're thinking. But if you do it later, it's like, what? You know this? Who did this anyway? You know. So do that. I mean, I know you've done it before. I bet you picked up a text message you sent someone. You said, "I did that." Okay, it said exactly what you thought it was saying when you did it, but that wasn't what it really said. Okay, so by all means, use good proofreading. Now, content also matters. I give this example because it's so easy. I've seen so many papers on typing. It's a great topic, by the way. Or somebody else. It can be anybody. And somewhere in the first paragraph or so, when they first mention his name, they may put in parentheses. You don't have to do this, but they choose to put in parentheses the year of his birth, time of the year of his death, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then somewhere over on page 2 or 3 here, when they're talking about his death or something, they have him dying a different year, you know. That wasn't that long a paper, you know, so no. I mean, it should be consistent, okay? I've also read so many papers on Pythagorean theorem. This is in lower level math classes. And I've had a few papers that stated it totally wrong, okay? Guess what? I'm going to pick up on most of those and realize that you aren't. So content also matters. Be consistent, okay? Oh, on years of birth or death or when they did some work, let's say 1407, and you write 1704. Guess what? That guy wasn't living then, so yeah, I'm going to pick up on most of that too. Take it, it's almost time to go. So let me just try to hustle through the rest of this. The paper is due the last day of class. That's not the last day of finals, the last day that we meet as a class and go over new material, okay? But please get started early. That's why I want you to give me the topic now. I want you to think about it now. I want you to find those sources now. I want you to work on it because guess what? You'll never have more time to work on it than you do right now, okay? Later in the term, you're going to have tests, you're going to have quizzes, you're going to have projects, you're going to have papers, you're going to have lots of things piled up on you, labs, whatever. This is the time to get started on it, okay? So get started now. If you turn it in after that last day of class, you're going to be losing points, okay? That's the stick. Let me give you the carrot, okay? Here's the stick again. You will lose points if the paper is submitted after the last day of class. But if you submit the paper this month, now you don't have much time this month, but this month, guess what? You get 4 bonus points. 4 bonus points. If you submit it in September, you get 3 bonus points. In October, 2. In November, 1. If you turn it in December, you get full points. So that's all. No extra. If it's after that last day of class, which I think is the first Wednesday in December, you start losing points. So there's the carrot and the stick. So please go with the carrot. Okay? Here's something I require that I don't think anyone else does. When you do submit your paper, please attach a single page from one of your sources. Okay? Now, if that was a book or a journal or something from the library, go over to the copy machine, copy me 1 page. I only need 1 page from it. If it's something you did get, a good source from the internet, you can print me a single page. I don't need the whole article, just a single page. Okay? If it happened to be the YouTube video that you're writing about, and it doesn't have the page you can copy, then just send me the link so I can go and check it out and make sure it's really there. Okay? Any questions? All right, there's the research paper. Now, are we out of time? Oh, 1 minute left. But we don't have time for anything else. When we meet next time on Wednesday, first thing we're going to do is go over safety. 3 issues of safety. It shouldn't take us too long to do this. The 2 of you know them, I think, by heart by now. But let's go over the safety issues. It's not anything major, but just things you have to be thinking about. And then we'll get started on calculus. And hopefully, by then, I'll have the syllabus updated. I'll know what hours, office hours and that kind of stuff. Hopefully I have your PowerPoint presentations out there on Blackboard. Hopefully this will be out there on Blackboard. So everything should be. If it's not later that afternoon, I hope to get it done. Or sometime, as soon as I can, I'll try to get it done. Any questions? All right, looks like it is going to be a good class.
I will be here Wednesday.
Okay.
It's my holiday. I'm Muslim, so it's Eid al-Adha. So I'll be celebrating holiday.
Okay, I'll try to report everything, so you should be able to follow. Okay? All right, good deal.
I just think they canceled the physics 214 class. They do it.
I can't believe they did. If so, I'm going to try to undo that. Let me look and see.
Yeah,
All right.
I just looked at my.
Okay. Somebody's out there doing things they don't know what they're doing. So let me see. Those are stacked classes, and if they cancel 214, they're probably going to cancel 202. If we can keep them together, we want to. Why is this not closing?
And look, with